Hello and welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. My name is Joris and today I am here with a video about how I pay ourselves first. Well, in Switzerland it's not that hard to pay yourself first because your employer is actually going to do a lot for it by himself or by herself. Because before you get your wage, your employer is going to set aside 5.3% of your wage into your first pillar or your state pension, and that's called here the HV. And yeah, it goes automatically, so you don't need to worry about a thing if you are employed yourself. A part of your wage also goes to your second pillar, so that's a pension fund for employees. When you work for the Bund, it's the Publica where your money is going to be transferred to, and it's mandatory since 1985. Also before 1985, a lot of employers already did this for their employees, more or less 60% already did it. And they also give a surplus. And I'm going to call it a match because then you see this resemblance between the second pillar and the 401k in the US. But the only thing is you need to earn more than 22,680 Swiss francs. So if you earn less than 22,680 Swiss francs, you're not, you're not going to get the money put into a second pillar. You are going to get paid out the money yourself, and then it's really important to pay yourself first as well. And most of the time it's 7.5% that you contribute, and then your employer is going to match it with 7.5%. But it depends on your employer, it depends on your age, and it also depends on the years that you already are working for your employer. So always check when you change jobs, how it is arranged with your new employer, and maybe even though your average pay seems higher, when you get a lower match, you're actually a little bit screwed. So be careful with that. And the nice thing about this system is that you, on average, you save 12.8% without even noticing it in your paycheck. And with the match, it even goes up to 20.3%. So this is just a wonderful system. The only minor thing is the HV and the second pillar should make sure that you as an employer receive 60% of your last average paychecks when you retire. But since you need to have worked 45 years to receive the maximum HV, and maybe you're also married, and then you and your wife or your wife and or you and your husband can only receive 150% of the HV that you are normally going to receive if you didn't if you weren't married. So that's the thing, they want to change that, but they still don't know how they are going to pay for changing it to 200% for married couples. So yeah, it's a difficult thing. They are already discussing it for over 30 years. So not all the things here in Switzerland go as smooth as thought. And you also need to have earned on average 80,000 Swiss francs per year in your career. And not a lot of people have that. Not a lot of people have worked here for 45 years, especially people that come and work in Switzerland from abroad, like my wife and I. We worked first 15 years in Belgium. If we need to work 45 years here, yeah, we are going to be plus 70, and that's not our idea of a good retirement age. So yeah, only 5 to 10% of people is set to be able to receive 60% of their last average paycheck with the first and the second pillar. So with that being said, you know that 90 to 95% here in Switzerland, they are still in need of paying themselves first. And the first thing that you need to do when you need to pay yourself first is set aside the income tax that you will need to pay. And you have to put this in a savings account. Do not invest it because you can lose a lot of money in a short time of period, and then when you need it and you need to take it out, you are screwed. So don't do that. And I put lucky here between parentheses because actually you're not that lucky. I will explain in a few seconds. But if you are, yeah, if you are obliged to pay Quellensteuer because you have no C permit yet, or your wife or your husband doesn't have a Swiss permit or a C permit, or you are a cross-border commuter and you need to pay Quellensteuer, the good thing is you don't need to worry about it. Your employer is going to withdraw the income tax at the source, and if you also earn more than 120,000 Swiss francs a year and you need to fill in a tax return here in Switzerland, they are going to calculate which tax you need to pay, and they are going to deduce the Quellensteuer. If you pay too much Quellensteuer, you will get a return of the money. If you paid too much, if you paid too few, so not enough, you will have to pay extra. So it's actually the same thing that happened in Belgium all the time. So for me, it was an easy system. Now I don't pay Quellensteuer anymore because we are living already a long time here in Switzerland and we have a C permit now. So we need to do the thing that follows now. So we set aside the income tax ourselves, and from the moment that we get an installment payment proposition, we immediately pay it because you get a verzoekzins of 4%, and that's way higher than on most high yielding accounts that you can get with the commercial banks here in Switzerland. So it's a really nice thing that you get 4% on the money that you already deposit to the Steuerverwaltung. And if you set aside the right percentage and you can pay the installments directly, it lowers your tax by the interest the Swiss government gives you, and on top of that, you also get a remuneration interest. Man, that's a difficult word. It's Vergütungszins on top of that. And in the canton of Bern, where I live, that's 0.25% reduction of your tax, your income tax. So that's really nice. And this, so the verzoekzins and the vergütungszins, that are two things that you are missing when you are Quellensteuer paying. So when you are paying the Quellensteuer. So that's a bit unlucky, but for the rest, it goes automatically, so you don't need to complain as well. And what do I do next after setting aside the income tax that we are due to pay one time in the future? Well, as soon as I have set aside the income tax amount, I save for our emergency fund. Our emergency fund is still not complete. It really goes slowly, but you know that my opinion is that you can build up your emergency fund and invest on the same time. A lot of people say no, you have to first fill your emergency fund completely and then start investing. But yeah, for me, it's a really annoying thing not being able to invest for 3 years. That's really annoying. So I rather save for 6-7 years for my emergency fund, have it completely full. When you have an emergency fund of 5,000 Swiss francs, most of the costs you will be able to cover. Okay, we need a lot more than 5,000 Swiss francs, and we are building towards that huge amount. But I think investing is so important, and it also motivates us to save and to invest and keep saving and keep investing. So I think it's really important. We also put aside the money that we need to put into our third pillar. So we have one annual payment, but every month I set aside 1,210 Swiss francs per month. So if you multiply that by 12 and divide that by 2, you more or less have the 7,258 Swiss francs per person that you can maximally pay into the third pillar. So yeah, it's for me and my wife, so 1,210 Swiss francs per month. That's a lot of money, and not a lot of people can do that. So my wife and I, we are really happy. We are really lucky as well. We earn enough money to also invest, so we can't complain at all. And then another thing, we are also every month putting aside money for our annual SBB train pass. We are always buying that in the beginning of August or the end of July. So yeah, it's really important to do that. If you are stuck in buying monthly passes every month, you should try to save extra money that you can buy the next year your annual SBB train pass in one go, because then you save 2 monthly passes, and that means that the next year you have it so much easier to save for your annual SBB train pass. And that's just a huge tip that I can give you, and it's a really big, yeah, it doesn't save that much. Okay, it's from us to burn, it's 165 Swiss francs to have a monthly pass. So saving 2 times, it's a little bit more than 300 Swiss francs. But in the for me and my wife together, that means more than 600 Swiss francs. Yeah, it seems a small amount, but if you look at it for us, it's a really big amount. Certainly when you need 1,210 Swiss francs per month as well for the third pillar. And as you know, I also transfer 200 Swiss francs to my U account every month. And then we also transfer 300 Swiss francs for our 3 kids. So every kid gets 100 Swiss francs every month. And we invest that towards CHDVD. And then the 900 Swiss francs goes towards our ETF portfolio on Swissquote. So 1,200 Swiss francs are always transferred to Swissquote on the morning that our wage gets paid. Last but not least, I also transfer 250 Swiss francs to my wife's savings account and 50 Swiss francs to mine. So I also have actually 250 Swiss francs for my pleasure spendings, but 200 of those 250 I put towards my U account, because for me, investing in stocks, that's just my, guilty pleasure. So I think that's really important for my well-being. My wife, she likes going to sports events, going to a McDonald's one time, or yeah, we don't go often, but when we go, my wife pays. So that's always nice, because I like a Big Mac, and yeah, when my wife pays, it tastes even better. And this way on the 25th or the 24th or the 23rd, because when the 25th is on a Saturday, the wage get paid on the 24th, and when it's on a Sunday, it get paid on the 23rd, so always on the Friday than before, and we always pay ourselves first on the 25th. Next off, I transfer the average monthly amount we need for our other expenses to our checking account. So my wife has a checking account where her wage gets paid, and I have a checking account where my wage gets paid. And from both of those, I transfer half of what we need to pay in the next month to our joint checking account. And then on the 28th or the 27th or the 29th, to see when the 28th is, I pay our monthly bills. And then during the rest of the month, I pay the other bills and expenses as they come. And this only works because I'm really a freak when it comes to budgeting, and I know for the whole year what our expenses are going to be. So not a lot of people know this, so that's a tip for me to you. If you have no clue, start budgeting as soon as possible. And when you start with a system like this, be ready for surprises in the first few months, because suddenly you will receive an insurance bill that you didn't expect, and it's going to be 500 Swiss francs, 800 Swiss francs if it's your car or something like that. Then really have an emergency fund of about 5,000 Swiss francs. That is really crucial. So I'm going to go over it now schematically. So you have your employer, and he's going to pay your wage. And before he gives you your wage, he is already going to put money towards the first pillar and the second pillar, so the HV and the pension fund. And he is also going to give you a match on that. So it can be 20.3% already being saved for you, which is really great. Sometimes he is already going to pay the income tax to the Steuerverwaltung as well, when you are Quellensteuer obliged. But when you are not, you will have to put your income tax aside first. So this is the first thing you need to do yourself, and that is put aside your income tax that you need to pay for the coming year. The second step is that you need to save for your emergency fund, your third pillar, and in our case, the yearly train pass. So those are the three things that my wife and I save for. And the third pillar, together with the first pillar and the second pillar, we hope that this is going to provide us with a nice pension already. But because, we worked in Belgium for 15 years, our pension there is being slashed because all the changes in rules with how many years you need to have worked for receiving the minimum pension. So we know that we also need to invest for us. So I do it in my U portfolio, and we do it in our ETF portfolio. And here the dividends, they are really important for us and they keep us going. And for our kids, it's CHDVD. I hope that the dividends that they are going to receive from CHDVD is going to show them that investing for the mid-short term or mid-long term is in fact not the right way to go, but you should invest for the long term into good assets that provide you with steady income streams, so with nice dividends, with with good companies with good revenues. And the best thing to do then is just put it in a nice index fund. CHDVD has the best 20 dividend paying stocks from Switzerland in its portfolio. It's really outperforming all the other ETFs here in Switzerland. So I believe it's a really good investment for our kids, and I hope they get the buck just like me for dividend investing. And then the fourth and final step is know what your expenses are going to be for the month, and therefore you need to budget. So budgeting is key, and you pay your monthly, your quarterly, your yearly expenses if they are due that month. And then as you go on in the rest of the month, you pay your other expenses as the bills come flowing in. And then the month is over and you can start over the process once again. So going over step 1, 2, and 3, all on the 25th or 23rd or 24th. And then in the rest of the month, you just do step number 4. And with that being said, thank you for watching to this video. I hope you like this kind of content and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Also hitting that like button helps out the channel enormously. So thank you for doing that as well. And with that being said, thank you for watching to this one and see you on the next one on my YouTube channel. Bye.